Hello everyone, GeneralApple here with the house in Fata Morgana part 27, and on the last episode we had the most insane twist we ever could imagine. We discovered that Jacopo was actually the slave that initially saved Morgana, and it ended up being such a massive twist because he was the one imprisoning her after all this time. He wasn't the first lord though, that was part of the twist, but he was the second one. And, that was super just terrifying to discover. How could he have been such a good person at the start, at the very beginning, and then just became this vile human being? But I guess he's not totally lost because whenever he saw the necklace, we had this black sludge thing that pulled us all into his vision. And now we can see his story. And we read part of it, we haven't read all of it. But now we're just gonna continue straight where we left off and continue the story. Because we do want to know how he became this way. Because he used to be such a fine young man before. Alright. This though. No, this wasn't the kind of story I was hoping for. The heavy curtains separating the guest rooms had been torn to shreds, and they were splattered with blood. A man, apparently caught without enough time to defend himself, lay splayed out naked on a bed, his empty eyes fixed on the ceiling. The whole area reeked of blood. All I could do was stare stupefied at the carnage. What the hell? Why? How could this happen? My dumbfounded muttering went unanswered though. The few who were still alive could no better make sense of the incomprehensible massacre than me. The sudden, arbitrary upheaval of a world. The inexplicable, inescapable reality. Shortly after Morgana stepped out, I heard a woman scream from the front of the brothel. Next, a man shouting. At first, I assumed it was the one of the customers losing his temper over something. But the tone of the scream seemed somehow off for something like that. It wasn't long before the noise had escalated to an alarming level, so I dashed towards the source of the shouting. A good dozen men, bandits, or maybe thieves, they seemed more organized, had raided the brothel. They slaughtered all the customers, stripping them of any valuables, and they tied up the girls, killing any who resisted. The first thought that rose to my panicked mind was that I needed to find Morgana. I need to get her out of here, no matter what. I couldn't let her birthday turn into a tragedy. She had already been through enough, and I had to make sure she didn't suffer any further. I had to make her life into something good. I searched and I searched, but there was no sign of Morgana anywhere. Until suddenly, something seemed to crash into me from behind, causing me to stagger. It took a few seconds for the pain to set in, which is when I looked down to see the tip of a blade sticking out of my gut. Blood streamed along the metal surface, and there were little bits of flesh caught on the edges. I turned around just in time to see the man holding it kick me away. And before I had time to process what was happening, I hit the floor and lost consciousness. If I were a hero, I could have surely eradicated all the violent intruders in the blink of an eye, saving everyone. Protected that which I want to protect. Not had to lose anything, but I was just a mere boy, a weak boy, helpless against a few robbers. A useless boy, unable to protect anyone. When I woke up, Maria was kneeling over me, sobbing, no sign of the tough, foul-muttering girl I knew. Aside from her, there were two other girls also crying, living only for survivors. Apparently I wasn't dead. Looking down, I saw my bare stomach wrapped in blood-soaked bandages. The brothel lay in ruins, a bloody pile of torn bedding, clothes, and bodies. I made my way back to the front, and all I could do was stare stupefied at the carnage. What the hell? Why? How could this happen? My dumbfounded muttering went unanswered though. Maria stood beside me, quietly rubbing her trembling arms. Where's Morgana? I couldn't find her. Why not? I'm sorry, I looked everywhere. But I couldn't find her. I'm so sorry. I want to say I wasn't blaming her, but I couldn't find the words. If I had power, I could have prevented this from happening. What kind of power would I have needed, though? The physical strength to overpower the thieves? No, I needed to think bigger. If I weren't a peasant, but someone of real influence and import, no one would dare stand up to me. No petty thieves would ever consider a raid on me, and I would have the power to punish anyone who tried. But regardless, this would have never happened at all. I was supposed to give Morgana a good life, to show her the world, to make her smile. If only I had power. Absolute, unflinching power. If I had climbed to the top of the ladder when the chance was offered to me, this all could have been avoided. If only I'd asserted my place as royalty a month earlier, as the woman who claimed to be my mother had urged me to. I wanted power. The power to keep everything I cared about safe. The power to change this damned world. The power to stop those filthy thieves. The power to keep her by my side. I wanted power. I heard about the attack on the brothel, and that you were hurt. I'm so glad to see you're well. About a week after the raid, I went to see the woman who professed herself my mother. As you would expect of someone who had served at the old lord's manor, she was very elegant and graceful. The shack where she stayed, though, was shabby, drab place with the bare wattle and daubed walls. You were concerned about my safety. Of course. Show me a mother who is not always concerned about her child's safety. Says the woman I'd never seen until a month ago. Physical distance has no bearing on a mother's love, she said with a soft smile. Age had clearly begun taking its toll on her, but I could see hints of former beauty. If you had gone to speak with the Lord and revealed your lineage when I first came to see you, you would have never been in that kind of danger. There is still time. Go to the Lord Manor. Show him. I'm not really your son, am I? The woman fell silent for a moment, observing me. I could see the resemblance between us, yes, and I had no memories of my mother. It would be nice if she were to show back up someday, but it just wasn't likely. This whole thing left extremely contrived. Discussion will progress much smoother if we both know what the other wants of this arrangement. Start by telling me who you really are. Were you actually a maidservant for the previous lord? She gave a nod, then walked over to a grimy shelf and retrieved a ring that looked much out of place. It was made of gold, engraved with elaborate insignia. Look at this. It's the Barnier family crest. The previous lord gave me this ring, the ring as a gift, and I've kept it ever since, even after our relationship was discovered and I was chased out. I didn't sell it because I knew I was with child. They will have no choice but to acknowledge you as a legitimate heir if you show them this ring. Why did you wait so long to come find me then? I was afraid they might kill you if I brought you in as a baby. Why were we separated? Misfortune. One day, bandits came and kidnapped you. Presumably they were hired by the Barnier estate because they didn't want your existence coming to light. I consider it a miracle you're still alive. I can only imagine the stern look on my face as I listened to the woman speak. Part of me did, indeed, want to take everything she said as true. Wanted to believe I was someone important, but I couldn't convince myself I had anything other than commoner's blood running through my veins. It would appear you've done your research. I don't have any other family, to the best of my knowledge, which does indeed make me a good candidate for you to step in and claim your stakes on. Sakon, if I were to guess, your childhood lord has either passed away or never existed at all. It's probably true that you worked at the Barnier's manor, and it's probably true that you had a relation with a former lord. You were chased out, and now you live in poverty. You want to go back to your former, more comfortable life, and while you're at it, take vengeance on the current lord. But, being a woman, you have no means to accomplish that yourself. So you came up with the idea of using a fake son. If your child were still alive, he would be right about my age, wouldn't he? And we look similar enough for you to convincingly claim we're related. But the biggest reason you chose me is because I've made something of a name of myself. because I was one of the people involved in inciting the revolt 3 years ago. The perfect choice to spearhead a revolution. How dramatic. The man who set the Lord slaves free was secretly his family. The people would eat it right up. So how far off am I? For some time, the woman sat in silence. Eventually, she broke it, not by yelling in anger or desperately trying to refute me, but with a smile. I knew very well what lurked behind that smile too. Scorn. You're sharp for a filthy present. It would seem I chose wisely. Oh god, what a ruse. I was right. She was a manipulating, conniving, shyster. But that I could work with. That fit so much better. I wasn't royalty. I wasn't a hero. I was a filthy peasant. Amen. The first thing I did after agreeing to work with the woman was not to approach the Lord, but to reveal my false lineage to my accomplices. They all thought I was joking, until I showed them the ring. Then, their dreams of revolution started seeming far more realistic. Maria was the one exception. Not only did she not believe me, she tried to stop me from going through with the scheme. Haven't you had enough danger for one life? Come on, forget about all this revolution stuff. We can build up a new brothel and just stay low for the rest of our days. Does that really sound so bad? You're the only friend I've got left, Jacopo. She said, somewhat desperately. I sympathized with her concerns, but I didn't want to let this chance to gain some real power slip away. I was done having things taken away from me. Hear me, my fellow citizens. Who lives in suffering at the hands of your supposed lord? Within me flowed the blood of the previous lord. I am the rightful heir. Behold, the Barnier's golden ring, proof that I am of noble birth, victims of this terrible tyrant. The time has come to start anew, and I shall be the one to lead you down that path. The poor, the hungry, the deprived, all of you, stand with me. My call to arms stoked a flame in people's hearts. When the assault on the Lord Manor began, they were an inferno of righteous justice. No one was thinking straight. I was about the only one with something resembling a clear head amidst the chaos. If I were really a hero, then I would have rejoiced in that glorious day, that momentous turning point in the city history. I would have been honored to have led the charge. But this was all about one woman's avarice and desire for vengeance. This was all about one man's lamentation of his own weakness. I wasn't motivated by any desire to help these people. The Lord backed into a corner, begged for his life. I decapitated him, then held his severed head up for the people. Wow, that's brutal. Their cheers and shouts filled the air. As I watched them rejoice, I wondered, was this the future that awaited me? Would the people come after me next? Was my head going to be in one of their hands one day? The king and the other counts acknowledged my royalty, though it was less because I had the Barnier ring and more because they thought that was the best way to prevent things from getting any messier. So with their approval, I formally became the lord of the land. I also assumed the former lord name, because despite his reputation with his people, it was a name people knew, and one that held far more clout than my own. And just like that, my longtime dream of power had come true. That said, simply becoming the lord didn't mean everything had fallen neatly into place. Many of the local noble families accused me of acquiring my rank illegitimately. They waited, fangs bared, for me to slip up. They even tried to set me up more than one occasion. I couldn't trust anyone. On top of that, if I took too long making the improvements I had promised the people, they would start saying I was just as much of a tyrant as the previous lord. There was only so much I could do at once though, especially with my hands so full, fending off vulturous nobles. Exhaustion soon began to set in. This wasn't the world I was looking for. The one I want to show Morgana. Wow. Yeah, being a lord is hard work. It was day after draining day of betrayal, constantly having to look over my shoulder, fighting to meet unrealistic expectation. I was starting to lose sight of who I was as a person. I couldn't let anyone see me looking weak. They would see it as an opportunity to take advantage of me, to manipulate me, to eliminate me. I needed power to protect myself from those people. Attaining rank was only the first step. I needed even more power. Enough to ensure no one would ever be giving me orders, could ever play me for a fool. I turned my attention first to bolstering the economy. I provided subsidies to merchants in the city. I expanded trade routes. I made it known that people of any skin color, even those not welcome in other territories, were welcome in my land, trying to bring some vitality to the city. The previous lord had evidently loved to throw parties, squandering away nearly all tax money on his own entertainment. If he had left me more to work with, I would have used it to clean up and repair the slums, but for the time being, that had to remain another item on the checklist. I need more money flowing through the city as a whole before I could make any headway on fixing up the poorer areas. Helping the people who needed it most quickly became a secondary objective. I had a pretty good idea what my former accomplices still in the slums were saying about me. He used us. I could practically hear them whispering. Some of them even started publicly slandering me in an attempt to undermine my authority, claiming I wasn't suited to be in a position of power because I had spent most of my life in the slums. It wasn't long before they had convinced the people I was just another tyrant. I had hoped that they, if no one else, would have sympathized with my position, realized that I had every intention of helping them, and that I simply didn't have the resources for it yet. But no one saw what I was doing. No one believed me, even when I tried to explain. In one case, I invited an old companion to my manor to discuss matters, but the meetings only turned into an attempt on my life. Having absolutely no one I could trust, no one I could call an ally, hit me a lot harder than I had expected. It twisted my worldview beyond recognition. I had no need for sympathy. I couldn't show care for anyone, otherwise someone would inevitably use it against me, old friends and strangers alike. In fact, those who knew me best, those who were aware of where I had come from and what I had been before, were the ones who fought the hardest to tear me down. Rules needed to be created, punishments established. I couldn't allow anyone to take this power from me. Anyone who so much as suggested I had come from the slums, anyone who dared disrespect me, had to be eliminated. All threats exterminated before they could reach me. Somewhere along the line, I had lost sight of my original dream. Lost all my desire to do right by the people I cared about. Hell, I didn't have anyone to do right by anymore. Why did I need to climb the top of the ladder? So no one could kill me. Why did I want money? So no one could mock me. Why did I want power? So no one could oppose me. 4 years passed, and I find myself in a very, very distant place. Miracle blood? Sounds like a sham to me. You never know. They say the sound of her first cry brought rain to the land where she was born, saving the whole village from drought. And they say her blood has the power to cure any disease. One day, a curious rumor came to my attention, the kind of whispering I wouldn't usually put much stock into. It was said that there was a witch living in a cottage by the lake. Few had ever seen her face, but they claimed she had the same voice as a girl who had supposedly performed miracles several years earlier in a faraway village. The people loved their stories and heroes and miracles, and if I could show some support for the churches, then maybe people would stop complaining I was focusing too much on the economy. So I devised a plot to capture the witch and make use of her miracle blood. I would establish a new church, have it run by a nun in the city, had been fawning over for some time. They called her the Saintess. There, I would take the witch's blood and call it miracle medicine, distributing it in exchange for tithes, which the people would certainly come for in droves. And if the blood somehow did happen to have special powers, then that would make the scheme that much more effective. I'll worry about the veracity of the rumors later. Right now, all I want is for you to capture her and bring her to me. I was too busy to handle capturing the witch myself, so I went and found someone to handle it for me. He was a former slave who had several years back massacred an entire carriage of slaves and the slave traders transporting them. Obviously, not an upstanding citizen. You're true about that. But there was little doubt he would have any trouble apprehending a single witch. The biggest reason I chose him, though, was because he was enamored with the nun. I honestly thought it was rather hilarious, a murderer falling in love with a nun. I had been expecting the man to object, but he agreed almost without hesitation. There was a mansion on the outskirts of the city, which the previous lord had built for himself and had gone unused since his death. It was there I decided to keep the witch, and it was there I decided to establish the church. The nun would have ample space there to provide temporary shelter to the sick and needy. I thought, without what little remained of my conscience, that I was doing the right thing. If one witch, probably an old woman, that was all it cost to accomplish such good, then a worthy sacrifice it was. In an ideal world, it wouldn't matter young or old. A human being was an unacceptable price for anything. But this was far from an ideal world. So I decided that taking what little remained of this woman's life was the best, no, the only acceptable course of action. She would probably despise me for it, but I would gladly accept her hatred in exchange for the benefits her blood would bring to the city. It's our responsibility to offer a helping hand to the sick and the poor, to pray for the abandoned souls. Morgana words from years back popped into my head. I believe that, as aggressive, self-centered, and utterly lacking in compassion my method may have been, I was following that mantra. I was offering a helping hand to the people who needed it in the only way I knew how. I wasn't so dense as to think she would approve of me making an old woman pay the price for my charity, though. Doing this made me no better than a thug, but everything has a price. For every extravagant feast held, a dozen people go the night without food. That's simply the way of the world. I was no god. I was no saint. I had blood on my hands. I was a villain. I knew no way to accomplish good without doing bad. After the swordsman departed, I took some time to myself. I filled a goblet with water, smelled it, then gave it a bit of it to my pet dog before gulping down the rest of it. Are you still out there somewhere, Morgana? What would you think of me if you saw what I had become? Several days than the original plan, the swordman finally arrived at the mansion. I had chosen the observation tower on the grounds for the witch prison, and it was there I waited for him. He showed up with a burlap sack swung over his shoulder, setting it down on the ground and saying, "There's your witch." I could only hear muffled grunting from inside the sack, but it didn't sound like an old woman inside. The man's clothes and the bag both reeked of blood. "Tell me you didn't harm her, dog. I smell blood." "You only instructed me not to kill her. Mistakes were made, limbs were lost." I cleaned up all the blood I got on me. No one suspected anything. That you were able to immediately recognize it as the smell of blood says quite a bit, Lord. You have killed before, haven't you? Enough yapping. She is alive, yes? Of course. I felt a tinge of guilt for the woman, but didn't last long. Her role in my scheme and the fate that awaited her was the same regardless of the condition she arrived in. I tossed my gaze from the man to the bag. He crouched down to untie it, revealing a young girl with one arm severed. As soon as I saw her, I knew exactly who the girl was. But why? What was she doing in the bag? Why was she the lakeside witch? What was she doing here? Why she was so pale and shaking? Why had I ordered her captured? How could I have done that? How could I have let this happen to her? Morgana. My voice was hoarse and rattling. She looked up at me, her face just as disfigured and hideous as it had been 4 years before. My mind flashed back to her birthday, to when I'd considered offering to take her as my lifetime partner if her face hadn't healed in 4 years' time. Is that you? Her question yanked me out of my memories. You remember me? Did Morgana remember me? The 3 years we had spent together, what kind of person I had been. The boy who had refused to give up putting ointment on her face. Those horribly unromantic encounters at the graveyard. Her taking shots at me taking shots at her. All the time we had shared. How could I ever forget? Morgana, she remembered me. How could I ever forget all the pain and humiliation you put me through? How could I ever forget the blood Sabbath you so loved to hold? What? What was she talking about? Haven't had enough, have you? Living scars on every inch of my body wasn't enough for you. You haven't had your fill of my blood. No, that wasn't me. I was the one that had tried to heal those wounds. You're the man who bound me, cut me up, called me a witch, and then tried to kill me. I haven't forgotten you, even for a moment. No, Morgana. I was the man who rescued you from him. I don't care how much my father preaches forgiveness. That's the one thing you'll never get from me. I despise you with all my soul. I revile you with every fiber of my being. For every scar you gave me, I give you a lifetime of hatred. No, Morgana, I was not aware you knew the witch lord. His voice made my blood run cold. I didn't just know her. Morgana was this man, the Lord. He destroyed me, mind and body. No, that was another man. He was already dead. I'd just taken his place. I had come from the slums. I had been part of the slaves' revolt. I knew I had to tell her. He ruined my life. But between the sting of Morgana accusation and my need to protect my current position, I couldn't muster the strength to do it. If someone were to find out I wasn't legitimate royalty, that I had come from the slums, then everything I'd worked so hard to build up for Hudo, would come crumbling down. Do I really think it hasn't already? All I had left was my power, my rank. Is that what I actually wanted? I couldn't afford to lose that too. When did I first start straying from the path? Yes, I know her. Or I knew her years ago. I see. What do you want to do then, Lord? You look sick. This doesn't change anything. We'll lock the witch up and proceed this plan. Why? Why couldn't I tell her the truth? How? How could I keep her imprisoned? What had I wanted power in the first place? What had I wanted power for in the first place? Would anyone ever believe me? If I said this wasn't how I wanted things to turn out? Oh wow. Oh no. Oh no. Would anyone ever believe me? Before me floats a man, twisted and writhing in pain. Although, whether what I'm looking at could be said to resemble a human is a difficult question. It's a hazy, indistinct shape, on the precipice of being consumed by darkness everlasting. I knew very well what I'm looking at. The moments before a man's soul shatters. Did I do the same thing to him that Morgana did to me? Was it I who summoned the darkness? Who laid his past bare? Who forced him to relive those events? To experience once more everything he felt, everything he thought? Who put him through the despair a second time? I can only imagine how he must have felt, causing someone he once cared for so much pain. The things he did are abhorrent, more than deserving of reproach. And it would undoubtedly be easier for him to simply vanish into the eternal abyss. But I can't allow that to happen. He still has work to do. His story is essential. It's almost certain Morgana still doesn't know who he really is. He needs to face her, to reveal the truth with his own words. That's the only way we're going to get her to have a change of heart. That's not all he has to say to her either. So I must bring him back, pull him out of the darkness. I grab the man by the arm and begin scouring the blackness for an exit. After some time, I see a speck glistening high above. So I make my way upward, back into the harsh light of the real world. Oh boy. The darkness parts and we re-emerge in the dining hall. The man is still straddling me, dagger held above his head, just as he had been before our trek into his past. His eyes are open wide, and his hand is trembling. Few moments later, his fingers go slack, and the blade slips from his grasp, piercing the wood floor by my face. Hey, what was that? I swear I saw some kind of black cloud or something. What happened to you two? Neither of you saw any of that? Saw what? If you didn't see anything, then don't worry about it. The necklace, that must have been the key to unlocking his memories. Like when I touched the mirror in the mansion. I have no idea why certain objects show me different memories, but I got what I needed, I think. I'm fairly certain the white-haired girl is Morgana now. The thing Jacopo did to her and felt for her behind the third door have much in common with him and Morgana in this life. Why did you dig that up? How the hell did you do that? Why did you show me my former self? Why did you make me watch that? Why didn't you tell her? Had you only opened your mouth and told Morgana the truth, told her you weren't the previous lord, told her who you really were, things could have turned out differently. Turned out differently. How? Knowing would have only worsened her pain. Yes, you're exactly right. The man who once saved her life is now the source of all her misery. How would knowing that do anything but cause her more despair? The least you could have done then was let her go free. I had already put money into setting up the church here. Her arm had been cut off. There was no turning back. You can't go back from that. You could have, yes. You could have stopped then and there. Don't act like you know anything. You couldn't possibly comprehend the weight on my shoulders, you dirty peasant. You're right, I can't, and I'll be damned if I want to. To hell with understanding the feelings of a man who could so easily lose sight of what mattered most for a little power. Money, power. That's not what you really want to hold dear. So why couldn't you let go of that? Why did you have to go and let what mattered most slip through your fingers? Had you done anything, it wouldn't have had to come to this. I couldn't have people knowing where I came from. I needed wealth? Rank? No, you didn't need any of that. Do you have any idea how much Morgana treasured her time with you and Maria? Do you know how she described that period? Oh god, this is difficult. As one of the brightest chapters of her life. Those 3 years she spent at a brothel until it was attacked. She said that was where she learned how to find joy in life. Enough. She would never say any of that. Why do you refuse to believe me? She never opened up to anybody. That's all just your fantasy. What do you want me to see in her? You're trying to convince me of something that was never there. No, I think he's right, Lord. I believe she did feel that way. The day I killed that carriage full of slaves 4 years ago, this girl you're talking about, she was there. What? That can't. And she said this to me before I began my massacre. I'm sad because I didn't get the chance to show my gratitude to people very dear to me. She was crying as she did. So that's who she was talking about. It was you. There's no way. When exactly did the brothel attack 4 years ago take place? It was the winter. I see. Winter 4 years ago is when I met the girl too. That reminds me. She mentioned something unpleasant happening to her 4 years ago during one of our conversations. That she was forced to part ways with the people who taught her that humans are capable of kindness. She was talking about you. Ah, oh my god. There's still time. You can still set Morgana free. You can still reveal your true self to her. She was likely in shock that day, not seeing or thinking straight. She still thinks you're someone else. Hearing you were the Lord, it set something off inside her, preventing her from seeing who you really were. Her time in the previous Lord captivity left scars even deeper than she knew. So all it took was the one word, and in her eyes, you became him. Which isn't to say you haven't caused her much pain yourself, but I still believe your truth is the key to allaying her hatred. I will change her perception of the world. I'm certain of it. So please, release Morgana and spill your heart for her. I was planning to end it all with a harvest festival. What? I was already planning to set her free then. I knew damned well it was much too little, much too late, but I needed an excuse to face her. Some occasion to give me that last nudge. So I told myself, that's going to be the day. That's when I'm going to do it. But you had to show up out of nowhere, dinging up my past, throwing all my plans out the window. You still think I'm the reason your carefully laid plans fell apart. I'll let her go during the harvest festival. Tomorrow she goes free. Tomorrow is too late. What difference does it make? Then when the bell tolls noon on the day of the harvest festival, Morgana dies. I've had more than enough of your so-called prophecies. I'm done. Why do you still refuse to believe me? I'm not making anything up. I'm from the future. I know how this ends. Having an occasion and a plan can certainly make it easier to take action, but you can't just wait for the right occasion for everything. Sometimes, if you don't act on something as soon as you've decided to do it, you'll miss your chance. In your next life, you make the same mistakes. You lock someone up that you care about, eventually causing her to break down entirely. And you're so fixed on waiting for the right occasion, you completely destroy any chance of salvaging anything. If you're set on releasing her, then release her. Jacopo. Oh wow, that's exactly the same as the third door. When he said he will wait for the event, and she left before that. So it's exactly the same. The juxtaposition is amazing. Stop being so damn fixated on your occasions already. Enough. Damn you. You're right. You don't have to tell me I'm being a fool. I'll do it. Right now I'll do it. I'll release her. Oh my, is this the end? Thank you for making up your mind. I didn't make the lock require 3 keys, because the weight was too much to bear alone. It was because having others with me would force me to keep up the Lord facade, to prevent me from letting anything slip. Or maybe I was just waiting, hoping someone would betray me, make me pay. Pathetic, I know. You can have the necklace. It belongs to you. Though I doubt Morgana will accept it, I hope you'll still attempt to give it to her yourself. Will you do that? Where did You get that anyway. For Maria. I thought she would have thrown it out by now. I assume she doesn't think very highly of me. Be honest with me. She was planning to kill you. Huh. Maybe that would have been for the best. To her, I'm nothing but a power-hungry traitor. That necklace, I'll take it. Here you are. When he takes the necklace, Jacopo looks as though he's on the verge of tears. Whether from the pressure of not wanting to lose face, or simply because he's no longer able to, he doesn't actually shed any though. The other two just stand and watch him quietly. Neither of them saw the vision of his past, but they don't pry either. Our exchange was probably sufficient to give them an idea of what happened, even if they don't know the details. Clutching the necklace in one hand, Jacopo takes up the head of the procession to the observation tower. And while it lasts but for a brief moment, I see an image of the young man he used to be in his slightly slouched shoulders. Oh my god, we're actually making our way up the tower? Is it really happening? The key. All three of them. They each insert and turn their individual keys. The lock disengaging and the third door giving a deep groan as it swings open. Here it comes. Beyond it, a spiral staircase extends high into the sky. Every time I've climbed these stairs, it's always been a solemn affair. And now it's no different. I've succeeded though. I've got them all here, ready to set her free, before she's supposed to die. I have changed the past. Giselle. Can you hear me, Giselle? I made it in time. Now Morgana doesn't have to die tomorrow. I did it. Giselle. With me. Come on. Do you guys hear talking behind the door? Is there someone else in there with her? There couldn't be. It's only Morgana. Stay with me, please. Come on, you can't give up now. Oh, be quiet. As if you would have any idea what I'm going through. Of course I do. What? No. Standing before the door at the top of the stairs, chill run down my spine. Before I have time to consider what might have caused it, my body moves on its own. I shove my way past the other men and push open the door. Wait, who's inside? Oh my god. Oh, Jesus Christ. I know. I'll come up with something pleasant. Oh my god, that's horrifying. To take your mind off things. I'll come up with a story. A story? How about this? A dove flies in through the window, up above, a piece of parchment tied to its leg. It's a letter from the prince of a neighboring land. You read it, and then you write a response. I don't respond. After exchanging letters back and forth for some time, the prince comes to find you. Wow, that's the same story from the third door. I'm not going to fall for your stupid fantasies. Holding on to something, even a fantasy, is better than believing in nothing at all. I don't want you to give up hope. The baseless hope only breeds despair. Not that you would know that. Besides, if anyone's going to come for me, I don't want it to be a prince. There's only one person I want to see. Jacopo. We're all stunned to silence at the scene unfolding beyond the door. Morgana is having a conversation with herself. This does answer the question of who the white-haired girl is and where she came from. But I can't. This is just... No one should have have to go through this. Her mind has split into two. Oh, Morgana, it looks like you have visitors. They're here to take my blood. Or they got no use for me anymore and they are here to kill me. Oh, don't be so negative. Look, there's someone new. Kill me. Just set me free already. Morgana, you you know what my wish is? Kill me and curse. Put a curse on them. Come on, Morgana, look up at them. Your letters, they made it. I never wrote any letters. He's got long hair as white as snow and eyes like rubies. He's beautiful like an angel descended from heaven. An angel? Morgana, I've come for you, Morgana. Come to set you free. Would you please undo her shackles, Jacopo? As you say. Save her, please. Man, Michelle is so beautiful. Oh my god. So handsome. Morgana. Angel? Can you hear me, Morgana? At long last, I have the chance to hold you while you're still alive. I'm here to get you out of this tower. You have nothing to worry about anymore. You can go outside again, see the sun. You can go back to your old life. Angel. Morgana. Angel. No one's going to hurt you anymore, Morgana. And the three of them by the door, none of them had any malice for you. Angel. You're free. You can go free again. You can have a normal life. No one's going to take any more of your blood. Angel. Please, Morgana. Please stay with me. Don't you want to leave this place? I'm going to set you free. I'll take you back to your cottage by the lake. I'll get you medicine, help you with anything you need. If you want to go somewhere far away, I'll take you there. I'm begging you. I've waited so long for this moment. Morgana, I've been waiting so long for God to send an angel. Are you an angel? Are you an angel sent to deliver me from this place? Please, deliver me unto Father's presence. I can't go back out there. I can't live in the mortal realm any longer. I don't want to. There's only one place I wish to go. Oh, holy servant of the Lord. You are an angel, aren't you? Morgana, please deliver me from this place. Ah, yes, that's right. I am. For now, yes, I will be. I am the Archangel, Michael, sent to deliver your souls unto God the Father. Your angel. I have descended from heaven above. That's wonderful. Morgana. Is he really proud of me? Your Father, the Lord Almighty, is exceedingly proud of the great work you have done in His name. Thank you. It means so much to me to hear that. I couldn't be happier to be able to return with you to see him. Morgana. 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 Oh, please don't die. Please save her. Her body goes limp in my arms as the last of her life slips away. No. Oh my god, no. Why? There should have been more than enough time to spare, but I failed to save her life. At the very least, I hope I was able to provide her some comfort in her final moments. I'm allowed to think that, aren't I? We were too late. But why? Wasn't she supposed to die until... That's what you said, isn't it? That was how it was supposed to happen, right? So how come we still didn't make it? Why didn't you do anything? Why didn't you just let her wither away like that? Why? Answer me. I have no answer for you. I had no idea she had deteriorated so badly. We should take her outside. Then you can atone for your sins. But first, we need to take her body somewhere clean. Death does not mean you are free of pain. We need to ensure her soul can depart in peace. You won't see me objecting. You need to say now what you are going to say to her. You must let her know the truth. She's dead. What good will it do to reveal my feelings now? Are you really that dense? Of course it will do good. Her physical body may be dead, but her soul is still here, watching everything, listening to every word you say. I don't believe in soul. Well, I'm begging you to change your mind. Let Morgana hear what you have to say. Don't let her soul seethe in hatred. Please, I'm begging you. Okay. Morgana, I'm not the lord you knew. The man who put you through that hell. I killed him. I'm the man who freed you from his grasp. I'm the man who spent the next 3 years with you. We were poor and food was scarce, let alone good food. But those were happy times. Just about every day, I'd come to rub ointment on your face. I tell you to look at me, and you reluctantly turn my way. I used to think a lot about the face you'd make when you finally gave in. And then, there was Maria. I can only imagine how obnoxious you thought the two of us were when we were in the same room together. You sitting off alone while me and Maria go at it, not making a peep. Always trying to sneak glances at you. There's so much I never managed to tell you. And I hate myself for being too weak to put any of it into words. The tears are coming back, man. I could apologize, but I doubt you forgive me. And I don't want you to either. I just want you to know that this isn't how I wanted things to turn out. What I wanted more than anything was to show you the world. But instead, all I managed to show you was the inside of a cold, dark tower. Not a beautiful, unimaginably wild world outside these walls, but a tiny, filthy corner of it. Oh God. I did this to you. I took everything from you, where I should have been giving you everything. However much you hate me, I deserve every last bit of it, and more. I was ready to pay with my life, if that's what you wanted. I was ready to do absolutely anything. This wasn't how I wanted things to turn out. I waited too long to bring myself to take action. Morgana, the man there, he told me you said through the 3 years you were with me and Maria were the brightest days of your life. Well, they were for me too. I loved you. That's everything. Did any of what he just said make it through to you, Morgana? I pray with all my heart that him opening up will have the tiniest effect on how you feel. Morgana, I also want to apologize for everything I did to hurt you. I feel terrible about it, I really do. Terrible. And yeah, I know that's not enough to make up for what I've done. So I want to make amends, whatever it takes. If you want me to give you my life now, I will. Or if you want me to spend the rest of my days paying for my sins, I can do that too. I am an irredeemable monster and a killer. I take pleasure in hurting people. You're right to be afraid of me. I'm genuinely sorry for what I did to you though. I never wanted to see you dead. Sorry, I can't come up with anything better to say. Let's bring her outside. Would you carry her body, please? You should be the one to carry her. You're far better suited for the job. My right arm is in no condition to be picking up anything. I'll lift her then. This is so sad. You said it was my words she needed to hear most, but ultimately, it was you who saved her. And me, who made that necessary. She wanted to be delivered to God by the hands of an angel. So the angel here should carry her. I can't. It wouldn't be right. Please, would you do it for her? Very well. Jacopo puts the necklace around Morgana's neck, then lifts her dead body off the ground and places her in my arms. He opens the door, heading the four-man procession out of the tower as he had in. I walk at the back of the line. Each step they take down the spiral staircase is slow and ponderous, as if weighted down by the knowledge of their sins, that they must make their way to the place they will make their atonement. I wasn't able to prevent Morgana's death, but I was able to uncover the truth. I accomplished something. The sum of everything I did these 3 days should be enough to change her heart and change the course of their next lives. They should be able to avoid the tragedies they witnessed through each of the doors. When we step through this door and people see Morgana's body, they'll be made to pay for our sins. Ultimately, I'm the one responsible, so the two of you are welcome to stay behind. I'm coming with you. The girl died because of the things I did. I can't just pretend it didn't have anything to do with me. No, I don't want to. I never had any intention of fleeing. You may have been the one running the operation, but I did as many terrible things as you. Well then. Say, Michelle? Yes? I figure this is probably my last chance to say it. So, thank you for convincing me to hand over my key. For giving me the courage to open my eyes. You always had the courage within you, Mel. You simply needed a little help fighting it. It wasn't my strength that allowed you to take action, but your own. Huh, you sure know how to make someone feel better about themselves. I'd like to be a little stronger next time around, if there really is a next life. I'd like to be strong enough to face whatever comes my way. To not run away or try to ignore it. I have no doubt you will be. The trials you're made to face are great, and very few of them of your own making. Yours is a tragedy of circumstance, of feeling kept secret and good intentions gone wrong. If you can face the problem when it arises rather than look away, I'm certain you can find your way to a better future. You mean in my next life? I do. I'll trust you know what you're talking about then, and burn your advice into my soul. Don't look away. Please do. I'm glad to have met you. If there is a next life, I'd like it if we could be friends. Just so you know, you'll never convince me to go on walks around the lakes or take naps in the sun. What? Well, that makes you sound like a very gloomy, unpleasant person to be around. Just joking. Thank you. You're welcome. You know, you kept telling me you weren't an angel, but you actually are, aren't you? I promise you, I'm a regular man. You told Morgana you were an angel. Angels and demons don't get along very well, so I'd rather not run into you in my next life. I appreciate what you did here, though. I'll do my best to be more human next time. Please do. If I repeat to myself what you told me, that what I need most is restraint as I make my departure from this world, then maybe I won't forget it, even if I do lose my memories. Burn it into my soul. I rather like that. I think I'll follow that the boy leads here. That would be best. And I'll be praying that, even if you aren't capable of love, you'll be able to live a peaceful life with a good woman who loves you. That you'll be able to make her happy by doing so. I still think she'd be better off never knowing me. Whether you want her or not, she's almost certainly going to meet you and fall in love with you. You know, now that I think about it, she's not as normal as I first thought. She's a peculiar woman. I can't say I disagree. Well, I guess this is goodbye then. That it is. I know everyone else is doing it, but I've got nothing to say to you. I didn't expect you would. Ha! Though I suppose I do have something I'd like to say to you. And what might that be? Be more open with yourself. If you had only put your feelings into words, things would have turned out differently, in both this life and your next. Coming from you, a man who looks even more closed off than me, that rubs me very much the wrong way. Do I really look that closed off? In more ways than one, yeah. That part of me is deeply ingrained. You're telling me to open up won't magically disentangle my personality and make it be. I don't think you're as twisted as you believe you are. I'll consider it, if this next life nonsense you're selling is true. Please do. Lord have mercy, one hell of a man certainly busted his way into my life. The last thing I expected was for an outsider to be the one to get us to open that door. Impressive work for one man. It was not only my doing. I had help from a number of people. And it was you, Giselle, who did the most in getting me here. I'm not as big of a man as the three of you make me out to be. Before this, I lost so much I felt utterly powerless. I was on the verge of abandoning all hope. But having the opportunity to meet all of you, to spend time with you and the people around you, it did a great deal to revitalize my spirit. Despite the atrocities involved. So I thank you. I pray your next life may turn out better. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, here we go. I suppose we should get going then. Off to pay for our crimes. To relieve her soul of some of its pain. And I suppose to make sure their next life go a little better. Let's. He places a hand on a large door, then takes a step forward. The door lets out a heavy groan, and moonlight sleeps through the widening crack. It's all over now. I did it. I changed the past. Or did you? This is definitely far from over, I can tell. Yep. What? What the hell? What I see beyond the door is not the nighttime courtyard. The sun hangs high in the sky, shining down on blood-soaked grass. Why, what's going on? That's when I notice. The weight of Morgana's body is gone from my arms. And then... out in the courtyard. Mel, Nellie. I see a flaxen-haired girl vomit blood and fall to the ground. A young man kneels over her and takes his own life. No! There are dead and dying townsfolk all around the nun. The swordsman is skewered as he scrambles to reach her. And the door just to my back. Jacopo. The Lord lies unmoving, slumped against the wooden frame in a pool of blood. How can this be? We were all just talking not a minute ago. How the hell did we go from that to this? Why? Why, damn it? I changed the past, did I not? I steered them away from this outcome. I changed... Oh, that's what this is. As much as I don't want to believe it, it makes sense. The sense that something wasn't quite right I've been feeling ever since I got here. The darkness that swelled up when I touched that necklace. I was never in the past at all. This isn't the real world. It's a realm of the dead. The same domain in which the cursed mansion resides. Which is why when I arrived here, something fell off. Because death filled the air. Somewhere deep down, I could sense the similarity between here and the mansion. That gathering place of departed souls. It was never possible for me to travel back in time. To exist and interact with the real past. I was able to summon the darkness because this isn't the real world. Merely a reconstruction. a projection of the soul's memories. It was all set in stone long ago. None of the time I spent with any of them was real. Every emotional moment I thought I shared with them was all an illusion. None of my conversation, none of the smiles I managed to get out of them were real. I was never there. I was never present in their past with them. I'm currently sometime after all that. Sometime beyond the era Morgana lived. Beyond the 17th, 18th, 19th century. What I spoke of as their next lives was actually their past lives. All three tragedies are history. Immutable, irreversible history. There's nothing to change anymore. What then did I fight so hard to achieve? What did I accomplish by warning them of their next lives, by convincing them to endeavor to take different paths? Nothing? Was it all for nothing? I go limp at the sight of it all, dropping to my knees and sending ripples through the sea of blood. Morgana, the girl who called me an angel and asked me to deliver her on to her father, is still chained up inside a tower. What did I accomplish? What purpose did anything I do serve? Was it all just a big damn waste of time? But my cries go unanswered, simply fading into the dead air. Giselle, who kept me going for so much of this ordeal, is still silent. No, I did accomplish something. It wasn't a waste of time. Everything I did, it wasn't for nothing. I may not have changed the past, and I may not have stopped their tragedies, but I achieved something. I uncovered their stories. I learned the truth of everyone's involvement. You can't take that away from me. I know you're out there, Morgana. I know you've been watching this whole time. You know the truth now. I accomplished that much. That has to change how you see them, at least a little. If the present Morgana has a change of heart, decides to let go of her hatred, then then that should cause the cursed mansion to disappear. Set their souls free. I'll take that leap of faith. That what I've done is enough, and make my way back, believing there's a future for them beyond their tragedies. I'm coming back, Morgana. I'm returning to that house, to that world of blackness, seething with hatred, to my present. I'm going to try this once more, an honest attempt to really see you, to face you, Morgana. I'll be there as soon as I can. Kneeling in a puddle of blood, I turn my gaze towards the heaven. The searing sunlight is slowly eroded by darkness, and my body, mind, and soul follow soon after. The bloody corpse-riddled courtyard dissolves, and I find myself one more in an utterly lightless void. I clench my teeth as hard as I can manage, squeeze my eyes as tight as I can, because that's the only way I can keep the screams back, the tears from spilling down my cheeks. And that, wow, the end of a chapter, Deliverance. And that'll be all for today's video, and wow, what a day this was. We actually finished the 7th chapter, which was incredible, through and through. It was amazing. We saw the history behind the 3 persons which Morgana cursed their souls, and yeah, it was incredible. It was incredible. The reasoning behind them, every character felt amazing. I even felt sorry for the Beast, if just a little. He's the only one I do not really feel sorry for, but for Mel and especially Jacopo, I just feel bad. I was on the verge of tears when I read Jacopo's story. It was really tough battle keeping it together, but I managed to do so, because it was so good. It was so well written. I couldn't actually praise it more, and I enjoyed the 7th chapter so much. It was incredible. Now, I did end up pausing right before starting a new chapter because I've already been playing for an hour now, and I don't want to start a new chapter just to cut midway through. I do think we are very, very close toward the end, at least that's how it seems, maybe 1 or 2 more episodes, so we are going to make that final push in the next 2 days. And yeah, I'm super stoked to see what is behind that final door. So I'll be seeing you tomorrow, but that's all for now. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.